Today we're going to be checking out the Asura 2 Pro Plus controller from BEITONG. It's got a great set of features, it's got a few unique features, and it's pretty. So let's check this thing out. Hey everybody, it's Chris from FamilyGeekery, and today we're going to be checking out the Asura 2 Pro Plus controller from BEITONG. And this controller was sent over from the company BEITONG, and I thank them for that. I just want to disclaim up front that I get a lot of offers for controllers to be reviewed, and I say no to most of them unless they have something that's unique, unless they have something that looks like it would be interesting to my audience, or unless it's just a really good deal. And in this case, this has some unique features that we'll talk about, so I agreed to do this review. Now, of course, this review is my opinions only. The company has no editorial control at all, and no money was exchanged. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the specs. Alright, so the first thing this control's got going for it is cross-platform. This will work with a Nintendo Switch, which is great because everybody needs a decent Nintendo Switch controller. This will also work with Android and all those Android boxes that you may have, or tablets. This will work with iOS, so you can use on your iPhone or your iPad. And of course it works with PC. Now to help you out with that cross-platform compatibility, it's got a application that runs on your computer. You can hook it up and you can upgrade the firmware, but you can also reconfigure all the buttons and switches. So if you had some kind of reason to change maybe your A and B buttons for your Nintendo Switch, then you can do that. You can change sensitivities of the joysticks. You can map the special buttons on the back that we'll look at, and all kinds of stuff. So the software is going to help you out with setting this thing up for all kinds of different platforms. So the next thing I want to talk about is this controller has Hall Effect joysticks. So both joysticks are Hall Effect joysticks, and the triggers. So both the triggers back here are Hall Effect also. That means you'll have really good precision and more importantly really no stick drift. So be careful when you're shopping for this. If you check this out online, of course I'll have links down below, but if you check this thing out, there is also the Asura 2 Pro, and it doesn't have all the features of the Asura 2 Pro Plus. So all the things that we're talking about, of course, are for this Plus model that I have here in front of me. Now the next thing I love about it is not only is it cross-platform, but it has many different ways to connect it to your devices. And I love that. There's no reason not to have choices for hooking it up. So you've got wired setup. You can plug a USB-C cable right in it, and it comes with a USB-A to USB-C cable that's plenty long. So if you want to have simple connectivity and not worry about battery life and not worry about lag, then just hook the cable up to it. If you want a little bit of extra freedom and movement, then it's got Bluetooth built into it. So you can sync this thing up to your Bluetooth PC or laptop. You can hook it up to your iOS and Android devices that way. And then last but not least, it comes with a 2.4 gigahertz dongle here. And so this is your receiver for 2.4. And now you can get wireless connectivity with all the benefits of the 2.4, which give you a little bit better responsiveness and a little bit more compatibility. You can plug this into your computer. It recognizes it right away. And if you have the right connections, you can hook this up to a Nintendo Switch and then use this with a 2.4 gigahertz to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll check that out also. Now, important to note, I said that the software can upgrade the firmware for this device. The software can also upgrade the firmware for the receiver. And when I tested this out, I upgraded this and it stopped talking to the receiver. So I plugged in the receiver, upgraded it, and then it worked fine again. So I don't know if that was just a fluke that I had or if there was something in the update of the firmware for the controller itself that made it stop communicating with the receiver, but the simple upgrade to this fixed that right away. And then the last thing that I want to mention about the features on this, and probably one of the more unique features, is the fact that the face buttons here, the A, B, X, Y buttons, are mechanical switches. So they feel completely different than your usual dome switches. They are a lot more responsive. You know right away that you have clicked the button. They're great for fighting type games and stuff. When I was playing yesterday, I could tell that some of the other buttons that I've used before, you can push them down halfway before they even make any kind of contact, and then they make contact. And these, there's just like a very short, I think it's like 0.1 millimeter travel before it activates that switch. So you got mechanical switches on your ABXY, you got Hall sensors for your joysticks and your triggers, you got software where you can customize everything, you got 2 back buttons on here that you can do, and overall, like I said, lots of features, and that's why I went ahead and said yes to the offer to review this. Now, all that being said, let me show you also one of the coolest features that I like about it, and that is this little trap door here. And this opens up to put your receiver into, and I think that is so cool because I've got a bucket, and I'm not lying, I've got a bucket of these receivers, and I have dozens of them, and I have no idea what any of them are except for the ones that put their name on the top here, and that's just a pain in the butt. Having a place to put this thing in, take it out of the computer when you're done playing with it, pop it in there, pop the door back on, and you won't ever lose it. So sometimes something simple like this is a feature that catches my eye the most. Alright, now besides the features of the controller, the next important thing is just how does it feel and how does it work? And I did a lot of testing with this with several different games over the last couple days, and I can tell you that this thing is comfortable in the hands. It's got a nice texture on the back, just enough texture to keep a good grip on it. It's shiny and kind of glossy on the front, and I played for several hours and I didn't get any kind of sweatiness on the hands to the controller, so that was good. The sticks felt great, and these back triggers here, they are Hall sensors, but they also feel great. Now, they may have a little bit shorter throw, but you can kind of configure these things in the software. But what I like about them also is that they don't have like a hard stop to them. They kind of have a cushiony stop at the when you pull them all the way in. So it's not clicky at all, these things. They're not slamming and making a lot of noise when you hit them all the way. So I like that. These shoulder buttons here, they have a not too clicky feel, but they have a very solid, definite activation to them, I guess is the best way to say it. The menu buttons here, the start, the select, turbo, and shift and stuff, they're fine. Nothing special about them. You've got a different glowing halo here around this main button that you can customize in the software. And then, of course, we talked about the ABXY buttons having those micro switches, and that was something that really surprised me at how much I like that. Now, while we're looking at these buttons here, you can see we've got a turbo button here, which you can program to hit a button really quick, of course. And then you've got this shift button here that when you press and hold it, it changes the D-pad and the left thumbstick, and then you can press it again to switch it back. So depending on whatever game or system that you're playing with, if you need to, for whatever reason, use this as your main control, you can kind of swap those back and forth. So that's kind of a neat feature. So now that we looked at all the features and we checked out the controller itself, let's go ahead and hook it up to some things and test it out with some games. Alright, first up we get an Android device, and just for simplicity, since this thing already's got games on it, I'm using the Logitech G Cloud, which is just an Android tablet / game controller built into one, and I just hooked this up Bluetooth, and it just worked right out of the box. So it was quick to pair, just like you'd expect any kind of Bluetooth device. It rumbles when it does pair, so that lets you know that you've got the right thing, that you clicked on the right buttons in the Android software. And it was pretty simple. Now there is an instruction booklet right here that has all the different key combinations to click on this thing to pair it up to different types of devices. So in this case, I think it was holding down the left button and then holding in this big menu button here, and it started flashing. It came up on the screen, and then it was, once it paired up, then it vibrated, and you knew that you got the right one. So obviously this works great. Let's go ahead and test out something else. Alright, so now the next thing I wanted to test was probably the device that I'll be using it the most in, and that's just regular old PC. So this week I've been testing it out on my main computer, which is a desktop computer, and I hooked up the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, and everything worked great, and I've been playing on that, like I said, like all week. And just for the simplicity of hooking up something for this video, I grabbed a laptop and threw it in here. Now, I've got it hooked up just USB cable just straight into the computer right now, and it's working great. Incidentally, I did have the 2.4 gigahertz controller hooked up, and it was acting a little wonky. I'll show you what that looks like on the screen right here. Just all the inputs were just going absolutely crazy. So I unplugged that, plugged in the cable, and it was doing the same exact thing. So I tried Bluetooth connection, and it was acting a little weird. So I started thinking maybe it's something with this computer, so I plugged it back into the computer. I was doing everything, my main desktop, and it started acting funny, but then it acted absolutely normal again. So I moved it back over here, and everything was fine. So I'm not sure what that was all about, but I'll show you here in a second what it's supposed to look like in Windows. So let me get out of this game real quick. So if we look here in Windows, I will tell you that of all the places I've plugged it in, this name kind of changes from computer to computer, and I'm not sure why that is. But if you go into the properties, and this is just your regular USB game controller setting from settings, if you go into the properties and get to where you can actually see all the inputs and stuff, this is what it should look like. You should have a Z-axis, an X rotation, and a Y rotation. So as I'm pushing the right thumbstick here, it should be changing your X and Y rotation. And as I do the two triggers, the analog triggers, then you should see the Z-axis going like that. If it looks different, if it doesn't have that, then it's probably not set up right, because I did have it set up one of the times where it didn't have the Z-axis controlling these, and the triggers were actually showing up as just button presses in the list of buttons here, so that wasn't good. But like I said, it's working completely fine now. I'm not sure what it was doing in between when I started testing it today and right now, but it might have to do with the fact that I've been plugging this thing into all kinds of different things. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and turn off this computer and plug this into something else. Alright, so next up, I've got an iPhone here, and I hooked this up through Bluetooth. And just a little tip on that, you're going to be referring to these instructions here to remember all the different key combinations to set up Bluetooth. So there's different key combinations when you boot the thing up to connect to different types of devices. And there's also a key combination in here that makes this thing forget all of its connected devices. So it will clear the Bluetooth settings. So you'll have to do that in between devices if you're changing from a lot of different devices, just to kind of clear it up every now and then. So when I did hook it up, and once you sync it up the right way, it'll show up as an Xbox controller. So you want to make sure it says that. If it says that, then everything's going to work just fine. So we can go into this game, and I'm just running Delta emulator here, a little retro gaming goodness. I did a whole video on setting up this Delta app. You can go ahead and check that out on my channel, but it just works. So right out of the box, any kind of game that's going to use a Xbox controller, like all the Apple Arcade games and stuff, is going to work just fine. So easy peasy. This is probably one of the easiest ones to set up. But again, like I said, if you have the wrong key combination on here, it will hook up to Bluetooth. But if it doesn't say Xbox game controller, then you'll want to try to clear that out and try again. So iOS, it works. Alright, so here we are testing this controller out with the Nintendo Switch. And right now I've got it just hooked up Bluetooth. It was an easy connection. I just followed the directions and it sunk up right away. Now I just wanted to throw in this Zelda game here. I always like to try out Zelda because it's got the easiest way to kind of control and test out the motion, 6-axis motion. So this works good in this controller. And like I said, this is just a cable. This is just a charging cable because I'm irresponsible and didn't have my Switch charged up high enough. So that's all that is. Now, in the instructions it says you can hook this up 3 ways for a Switch. You can do Bluetooth just like I'm doing right now. You can hook it up with a USB cable going into the dock, or you can use the 2.4 gigahertz receiver plugged into the dock. Now what I'm going to do here in a second is I'm going to switch over to using this, but without the dock. I'm just going to use this little OTG USB-C to USB-A adapter here, and I'm going to plug in the controller that way and just get a quick test with the controller still wireless, but going through the 2.4 instead of the Bluetooth. So let me get that set up. Alright, so now I've got it hooked up just to this USB-C to USB-A adapter going to this 2.4 gigahertz receiver, and I could have just as easily plugged that into the dock if I had that all set up. But then I just pushed the power button on this and didn't have to pair it, of course. It just pairs automatically to that, and everything is working great, including the 6-axis control. So this controller has connected to all the different types of devices that it advertised, so I'm pleased with that. So let's go ahead and put this game away and have some final thoughts here. Alright, so after testing this thing out with a bunch of different things, I'm still very pleased with how it works. I will tell you, you want to keep this instruction book handy so you can, if you're going to be switching between different devices, you'll have the key combinations there and a little reminder of how to switch, you know, your Bluetooth off or clear out your Bluetooth, how to turn this thing off. And once you get those memorized, then you'll be fine. Turning it off is actually hitting button B and the back button at the same time. That'll turn it off. That took me, that's what prompted me to actually read the instructions, because I was trying to just long press the home button here, and that didn't work. So long story short, read the directions, keep them handy. Now, like I said before, I tested this thing out a lot on my PC, and I enjoyed every game that I played with it. It wasn't until I started jumping from device to device real quick that I started getting some weird things happening. But I think that's not exclusive to this device here. Every controller that I've tested has some quirks to it, especially when they are multi-cross-platform compatible, just switching back and forth between Android and Switch and PC and all kinds of stuff. They just get kind of wonky every now and then, and you gotta kind of let them settle down and then get them hooked up again. So I'm not at all concerned about what I experienced just in this test. I think it's going to be fine in the long run. I was just swapping different things real quick, trying to get this video made, and it was just getting a little confused. We all get confused. So when it comes to features, this thing has it packed between the Hall joysticks, the Hall triggers, the mechanical buttons, you know, micro switch buttons for the face buttons here. All that stuff is great. The compatibility with all the different systems, that is definitely handy. If you were to purchase a first-party controller from any of the systems we talked about, then it would be more money than this guy right here, so that's obviously a cost savings. And the fact that it is a comfortable controller and it plays well, that's obviously the most important part. I'll leave a link to Amazon. They've got two different options on these. They've got a single controller, and you can get it in a couple different colors, or they have a 2-pack, and the 2-pack's a pretty decent deal. I'll leave links to both of those down there. If you want to play some Super Smash Brothers on the Switch, on the couch, with 2 people, grab the 2-pack, and this thing would be a great controller for that. Remember again that they have the version 2 and they have the 2 Plus, so be careful when you're looking at the different features and stuff that you get the one that you want. The 2 Plus is obviously the one with the more features, and that's the one that I would suggest. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer anything I can. If you found this video helpful at all, I appreciate a thumbs up. That helps out the channel. But I think that's going to wrap it up for this review. I want to thank you as always for watching, and until next time, peace out and geek out.